I always believed a mother's love could survive anything. Sleepless nights, unpaid bills, tantrums, heartbreak. Rebellion. I'd faced it all, and more, for my son Dylan. He was my only child, my everything. His father left when Dylan was only 2, leaving behind nothing but debt and silence. I worked 2 jobs, sometimes 3, just to keep us afloat. Skipped meals so he could eat, missed birthdays and holidays so I could pay rent. But I never complained, because every time Dylan smiled, hugged me, or whispered, "I love you, Mom," it felt like my sacrifice had meaning. That belief carried me through 28 years until one evening my son shattered it in a single sentence. It was a regular Sunday night dinner at his house. His wife Claire had made roasted chicken and mashed potatoes. She always made sure the table was perfect: candles, cloth napkins, even wine glasses with sparkling water. I admired her grace and organization. She was nothing like me, rough, tired, worn down from years of hustling. Claire came from a wealthier background. Her mother, Judith, had been a stay-at-home mom, hosted charity events, baked cookies from scratch, and looked polished even on laundry day. Claire often said, "I wish I had your strength, Grace," but I could tell Dylan admired her mother more, and maybe even resented me for not being more like her. Still, I smiled, cleaned the dishes, and helped set the table. As I always did, the conversation that night was light at first. Claire talked about redecorating the nursery for their second child. Judith bragged about a new book club she was leading. I stayed quiet, listening, nodding, occasionally adding something small. Then, as Dylan poured himself another glass of water, Claire asked him teasingly, "Did I turn out okay, you think?" Raised by a saint and all, everyone chuckled. That's when Dylan said it without looking at me. Without hesitation, "I wish your mom had raised me. I think I'd have turned out a lot better." Silence. Utter silence. Even Judith looked shocked. Claire's eyes darted between us. I sat there frozen, my hands still on the tablecloth, my heart suddenly pounding in my ears. I laughed. A quiet, breathless sound? "What do you mean by that?" Dylan finally glanced at me, shrugged. "Nothing bad, Mom, it's just," she had structure, support, traditions, family meals, bedtime stories, weekend outings. "You were always busy, distant." He said it like it was a simple fact. Like I was just an employee who forgot to do her job. I nodded slowly, my throat closing. "I see." Claire shifted awkwardly. "Dylan, maybe that came out wrong," but I waved her off. "No, it's fine. He's just being honest." Dylan didn't even notice the sting in my voice. He went on, "I mean, yeah, you did your best, I get it. But sometimes it felt like I raised myself. Maybe if I'd had a bit more, mothering, things would have been different." I stared at him. The boy I held through fevers. The boy I coached through school projects. The boy I drove through storms just to get to practice. And now, I was just the mom who wasn't enough. After dinner, I quietly helped clean up. Judith and Claire chatted in the kitchen. Dylan disappeared into the den to check sports scores. No one asked if I was okay. I left earlier than usual, saying I was tired. Claire hugged me at the door. Dylan shouted by "Mom" from the other room without coming out. I drove home in silence. No music, no news. Just the sound of my own breath and the ache in my chest that kept getting heavier. I couldn't sleep that night. I sat in the living room with an old photo album on my lap. Pictures of Dylan as a baby, a toddler in kindergarten with his gapped smile in his high school football uniform, graduating from college. Each photo was a chapter of my life built on sacrifice. And yet, he wished someone else had raised him. I tried to reason with myself. Maybe he didn't mean it the way it sounded. Maybe he was just tired or being careless, or trying to impress his in-laws. But a part of me knew deep down he meant it, because Dylan had grown used to my presence, to my unconditional love. And like most people do with what they think is permanent, he stopped valuing it. The next morning, I didn't text him. My usual "have a good day, sweetheart." I didn't send the silly dog meme like I always did on Mondays. I didn't pack him a container of his favorite lentil soup and leave it at his office like I sometimes did. Instead, I began clearing out the old guest room closet. Inside were boxes of Dylan's childhood things, his baby blanket drawings, school certificates, even a crumpled note he once wrote, "Greater than Mommy, I love you more than all the stars." I held that note and cried for a long time, then I folded it back carefully and placed it inside a sealed envelope. By evening, I had packed a small suitcase. No, I wasn't running away. I just needed space. A little distance between me and the woman my son had reduced me to that night. I didn't answer Dylan's call, or his second one. Instead, I sat by the window, sipping tea, watching the sunset I'd missed too many times. Working late, I felt invisible, But for once, I let myself be. The next morning, I left a letter on Dylan's porch. It wasn't angry. It wasn't bitter. Just honest. Dylan, you said last night you wished someone else had raised you. I want you to know. I heard you. I heard you louder than you'll ever know. I don't regret the life I gave up for you. I only regret that I failed to show you the difference between comfort and sacrifice. Judith may have given Claire homemade meals and a pretty home. I gave you everything I had. Even when I had nothing left for myself, I need time to breathe. To remember who I am beyond being your mother, with love, always Mom. I don't know what hurt Dylan more, the letter, or waking up to find my usual text missing, or realizing the room I always kept for him in my heart suddenly had a door with a lock. To be continued. In part 2, Dylan wakes up to the weight of what he said. As her absence begins to haunt the home and the silence deepens, he uncovers pieces of her past he never knew, revealing just how much his mother gave up to raise him, and he realizes some apologies must come with actions, not just words. The morning after the fireworks faded, Emily stood at the kitchen sink, slowly rinsing plates that had piled up from the backyard barbecue. The house was quiet except for the ticking wall clock and the occasional thump of her kids. Waking upstairs, her husband Mark had already left for a run. Her mother-in-law Julia was still asleep in the guest room. The whole house felt still, but Emily's chest buzzed with unease. She should have felt proud. The food had been perfect, the decorations cheerful, and the evening went off without a hitch. But something felt ... wrong. No, not someone. Why didn't you come, Mom? She whispered into the sink, even though no one was there to answer. She dried her hands and stepped out onto the front porch to pick up the morning paper. And there, resting gently on the wooden step, was the pie container. It was empty, but beside it was the scarf she knew her mom had been knitting for weeks. Red, white, and blue. Soft yarn, perfectly stitched, still neatly folded and tucked into the folds. A napkin. Her fingers trembled as she opened it. Greater than maybe I wasn't invited, but I came anyway because I thought I still mattered. The words hit her like a punch to the chest. She sat on the porch step, stunned, the note fluttering in her lap like a forgotten firework. She remembered the look on her mom's face yesterday, the way her hands shook slightly as she held that pie, the way she'd smiled, hopeful, despite being turned away, and she'd shut the door. I shut the door on my mother suddenly. The sound of little feet running down the stairs pulled her back. Her daughter Lily came bounding out with messy curls and a sparkler stick in her hand. "Mommy, did Grandma leave already?" she asked. Emily froze. "What do you mean, sweetie? I saw Grandma yesterday outside the window. I thought she was staying with us too. Why didn't she come to fireworks?" Before Emily could answer, her son Josh appeared beside his sister, rubbing his eyes. "She brought pie, right? Did we eat it all already?" Emily's heart cracked wide open. I don't know," she said softly, holding back tears. Then Julia stepped out onto the porch, tying her robe. She noticed the scarf and note on Emily's lap and let out a soft sigh. "She really did come," Julia said. Emily nodded slowly. "I thought maybe you imagined it," Julia added, "but she must have left those last night. I found them here early this morning and moved them aside so no one would step on them." Emily wiped at her eyes. "I told her she wasn't invited." Julia sat down beside her. "I know, I heard you, and I tried to stay out of your family, but Emily, she's your mother, and she came all this way to be with you." "I didn't think she'd take it so personally," Emily whispered. Julia tilted her head. "Of course she did. She's not just your mom, she's a woman who gave up so much to raise you, alone. She came because she thought she still mattered." "I thought she understood," Emily said weakly. "It was just supposed to be small, casual." Julia placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "You don't have to throw a big party to make your mother feel seen. Sometimes just letting her in the door is enough." Emily stared out at the empty lawn. "I need to find her," she said. She called. The phone rang and rang, then straight to voicemail. She texted nothing. She called her mom's neighbors, her aunt, even a few friends from church, but no one had seen or heard from her since yesterday. Emily got in the car with the scarf and the pie dish, driving through town with no clear direction, just a rising wave of guilt guiding her. And then she remembered something years ago. When Emily was a teenager, she'd had a huge fight with her mom over curfews or grades or something, now too small to matter. She'd stormed off and come back to find her mom sitting alone in a quiet park near the ferry docks, watching the water with tired eyes. Emily always remembered that park as her mom's cooling off spot. She turned the car and drove straight. There, it was almost noon when she pulled into the tiny gravel parking lot. A few joggers passed and a man was fishing lazily at the edge of the dock. But there, sitting alone on the bench under a willow tree, was her mother. Emily's breath caught. She hadn't changed clothes, same shoes, her suitcase at her side. She sat silently, staring out at the shimmering water like it was the only thing in the world she trusted. Emily approached slowly. "Mom," she said softly. Her mother didn't turn. I got your note," Emily added, her voice trembling now. Her mother turned her head. Her face was calm, but her eyes, those warm, familiar eyes, were tired, wounded. "You found the pie?" she said quietly. Emily nodded, tears already pooling, "And the scarf? And your words?" There was a long pause. "I didn't want to embarrass you in front of your guests," her mother said, voice even. "That's why I left quietly." "You didn't embarrass me," Emily whispered. "I embarrassed myself." Her mother looked away. "I came because I thought you'd still want me there," she added softly. "I brought what I could. I wasn't trying to take up space." Emily sat down beside her on the bench. "You were never taking up space. Mom, you're the reason. I even know how to celebrate holidays. You're the reason I ever felt safe." Her voice cracked. "I wanted everything to look perfect for Mark, for his parents, for the neighborhood. And in trying to do that, I made the person who mattered most feel invisible." Silence. "I didn't mean to," Emily added, wiping her eyes. "I really didn't." Her mother finally looked at her. "But you did." "I know." More silence then, slowly. Her mother reached out and touched the scarf, folded on Emily's lap. "I made that for you," she whispered. "Took me over a week. I wanted to surprise you." Emily let out a broken laugh through her tears. "It's beautiful. Like everything you make." Her mother's lips quivered slightly. "I should have said something when you showed up. Something kind, something real. But instead I was cold. And I don't know how to take that moment back." "You don't," her mother said, "but you can make sure it never happens again. I want you in our lives. Not just on holidays. Every day," Emily said. "The kids asked for you this morning. They missed you." Her mother finally smiled, a tired, broken, healing kind of smile. "I missed them too. Come home with me," Emily said. "Please." Later that evening, Emily's children squealed with joy when their grandma stepped out of the car. Lily ran and hugged her knees. Josh shouted, "I knew you'd come." The sun was just beginning to set, painting the sky with the softest orange and gold. Julia stepped onto the porch and gave a small, knowing nod to Emily's mother. No words were needed. They lit sparklers again that night. Just the family this time. No loud guests, no distractions, just laughter, the smell of summer air, and the kind of warmth you can't buy in fireworks or perfect decorations. Emily and her mother sat on the porch steps, watching the kids run in the yard. "I'm sorry it took me this long," Emily said. Her mother leaned her head against her daughter's shoulder. "You let me back in," she whispered. "That's what matters now." And for the first time in years, Emily truly understood what the 4th of July was really about. Not just freedom, but family. The kind you fight for, the kind you forgive, the kind you come back to no matter how far you've wandered.